Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Kickin' Show, the official podcast of KickinTheTires.net. Tonight, we're joined by Zach Catanzareti, Seth Eggert, and as always, our production extraordinaire out on the West Coast, Justin Schuoler. How's it going, Justin?
I feel bad being out here. We were just talking in the Slack how Sarah can't join because 9 p.m. is too late for her, but it's 6 p.m. over here, and it's geez, my afternoon just starts. I just had lunch.
Yep. Well, with Sarah, though, she gets up at 4 a.m. So, I don't blame her for not wanting to, make the show.
That's true. It's 9 a.m. rolls around, and she's 5 hours into her workday, and I'm still asleep.
Yeah, exactly. 9 a.m. So, yeah. So, and Zach is back at home in the lovely Charlotte, Mooresville, Huntersville area, somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Cornelius.
Yes. It's beautiful here, too. I know the weather up in PA was tremendously hot. It was in the upper 90s. It was so humid. Come down here, and it's pretty much the same. A little bit more bearable, but a lot of rain, too. So I literally just got home about 30 minutes ago, so happy to be here for at least a couple days until I leave for Atlanta.
And right up north, I know in Mooresville because I've been there.
Yep.
Seth Eggert, and how's things going up there with you?
Going fine right now. Just taking it day by day.
Well, this weekend, Zach and Matt are going to be. Matt's not joining us; he's got to work for Uncle Jeff tonight at the Amazon warehouse. But they're going to be in Atlanta, dodging hurricanes apparently. So be ready for some rain. But hopefully, I think by Sunday, from what I'm looking at, you guys should be okay. Just be careful going down there and don't take any chances. It's not worth the pull over or whatever. And you guys know that, but you know how I feel. I'd rather you be safe than, we can miss a race if we have to. But man, it has been a fun week. And speaking of Atlanta, big news coming out of Atlanta this week with, and I kind of teased it. I kind of knew a little bit, but I wasn't allowed to tell. I was sworn to complete secrecy on what little I did know, and I didn't know as much as they were releasing a repave and a reconfiguration, reprofiling of the track, going to 28 degrees banking from 4 degrees banking, from 24 degrees banking, and narrowing it up. It's going to be, you're losing some significant footage as far as how wide and how far apart the cars can race. So, we've always seen good racing action at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's gritty. It's the asphalt's worn out. The problem is, as I've written several stories about, they've got areas where they've had to pave that are basically the size of a Volkswagen Bug. So, you just can't, you legitimately can't keep doing that. It's going to, the asphalt's going to break apart. And we won't have good racing. Well, remember that year at Daytona when the asphalt came up and went through somebody's radiator?
I think it was Jimmy Johnson's radiator that year, 2010.
Are you talking about Martinsville, or because I know Martinsville had that big chunk of concrete?
It actually happened at Daytona. They fixed it with what's that stuff, that JB Weld stuff that mixed up all this fake concrete looking stuff and patched the track in the middle of the race. And then I think the next year was when Juan Pablo decided to take out a jet dryer.
2 years later.
2 years. Okay, 2 years. So Daytona, and then they went and repaved Daytona. So it's been 24 years or something since Atlanta got repaved. 28 years. It's been a long 34 races is how many races we've had on it on this asphalt.
The last time it was paved was when it was last reconfigured in 96, 97.
So how many years is that? I'm 50, so that would be
24 years.
24 years. 24 years. So I was right. And there's been 34 Cup races, a gazillion Bandolero on the front stretch races, all kinds of other stuff going on, track walks, drive your car for charity, truck races, Xfinity races. So it's time. The track asphalt is dead. So for all those people that were out there, and I got a couple people on Twitter, saying this is stupid, I invite you to come to Atlanta Motor Speedway and walk around the track with me because I've been there and I've done that. And, it was time. So, guys, what do y'all think? Are y'all excited about kind of, seeing this? Especially, Seth, since they did it with iRacing.
I'm excited not only because they did it with iRacing, but it's giving another 1.5 mile track a unique profile. Granted, yes, Charlotte, Atlanta, Texas, they all had their unique features, but they were all in general about the same layout. Now Atlanta, it's the only high banked 1.5 mile track. Granted, I know it's technically 1.54 miles, but iRacing helped design it, and Steve Myers actually put on Twitter that the tracks that they are helping to redesign and reprofile are all being done with NASCAR approval and NASCAR, I don't want to say blessing, but in conjunction with NASCAR. So the way that Steve Myers, the president of iRacing, saying that, kind of hinted that Atlanta might not be the only one getting this kind of treatment at some point down the road. Granted, I know they also did Auto Club Speedway and designed the Chicago Street Course, but I'm interested to see what else they have that they're working on.
Well, look, when you're talking about, a real simulation system, iRacing is a video game, but really what it does is it simulates racing at tracks where they can try all kinds of crazy things because they've already got all of the asphalt profiles built into it. Those things are saved in X's and Y's and zeros and ones, so they know elevations and they know what the consistency is going to be for every type of asphalt on every single track around that they've ever scanned.
And then I was gonna say, on top of all that too, they have all their own simulations. Like Toyota brought over their own simulation systems too. So that on top of the iRacing stuff, like they have access to a tons of different ways to simulate what is going to do what.
And iRacing also has two essentially fancy tracks on their platform. Centripetal Speedway, which is a tiny circle with one pit stall. And then you have iRacing Super Speedway, which is a 3-mile high-banked oval, basically a Daytona or a Talladega on steroids, essentially. That was the race that Kyle Busch and Max Kennan tied in late last year that I actually beat Kyle Busch in qualifying in on that one, not to toot my own horn, but
you beat Kyle Busch, okay?
Yeah,
big deal. He's not anybody important or anything.
Yeah,
but
wait till you meet his
Kyle
brother
Busch.
Kurt.
It's not a big deal. Not to brag or anything, but I beat Kyle Busch.
Hey,
congratulations, okay? Because you know what, I didn't beat Kyle Busch and still got blamed for wrecking him and wasn't anywhere near him. Just point.
I got blamed for wrecking him in the race too.
But I do want to point something out about the banking at this new banking that we're going to have at Atlanta. It's 28 degrees of banking. Okay. Do you understand what that is? That is 5 degrees of banking. Basically about, like, I'm trying to show this in angles. About the width, the distance between my fingers. It's about 5 degrees of banking difference. Okay. From Talladega. Just this much degrees in banking from Talladega Super Speedway. So it will be super banked and super fast for a 1.5 mile track. Atlanta used to be one of the fastest tracks we had on the circuit.
And now it's going to be faster, repaved, more banking. I mean, the track's technically going to be narrower, but my gosh, I mean, you're going to get some people who know how to drive these kinds of tracks, like a Ryan Blaney or a Kyle Larson, that will find that line and get that extra 5 miles an hour of speed.
It'll be cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that we were able to get that story out and share. You got to admit, the boss was on the ball this week. I had the story up pretty quick after the announcement came out. So that's not usually like me, because I usually take a day or so to get stuff written.
And you're usually doing all the wholesome stories too.
Yeah, I'm always doing those great feel good stories about people. You know?
Either the really feel good or the really feel bad story. That's your specialty.
Heck, what's been happening in Pennsylvania lately?
Yeah. I'm curious, Jerry, because I know you've been following this. Has NASCAR done any coordination with any of the drivers? Because I know one of the videos that has been surfaced on Twitter was the famous interview with Tony Stewart sitting with Kyle Petty when he talked about how like this guy shot down 20 drivers in a meeting saying, no, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Yet that guy has never driven a race car in his life. So with this repave at Atlanta, did they coordinate with some of the drivers or team owners or anything like that? Or was this just full on NASCAR's decision?
I think this was an SMI decision.
It was an SMI decision.
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin was actually on Racing Spaces last night talking a little bit about this. And the way he framed it, along with Ryan Vargas, Tommy Joe Martins, Andy Lally, and a few other drivers who were on the space, the way they framed it is NASCAR tracks. So Martinsville, Daytona, granted, Chicagoland's not around anymore. They all go and talk to drivers for driver input if they're making changes. But they said SMI tracks go and make changes and then ignore the drivers. At least that's the way Hamlin framed it.
I wouldn't say they ignore the drivers, but basically like they did with this simulator thing. And look, when they say they ignore the drivers, but Jeff Gordon was actively involved in the Roval. Okay.
Yep.
So I imagine that if they did talk to drivers, it's kind of like me getting information on, what was going on. It was super duper top secret. Okay. So Denny may not have been consulted on it, but Kevin Harvick, who's won there a gazillion times, may have been, received a phone call. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So I don't want to say. And look, here's the thing. It's like I said on Twitter. It was time. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They had to do something. You either throw the dice and gamble or you shut it down. And they didn't get the casino pass this last time like they were trying to do in the legislature in Georgia. So, they're moving ahead rather than shutting it down. There's a lot of stuff that goes on Atlanta Motor Speedway with movies and with carnivals and fairs and concerts and car shows and racing not affiliated with NASCAR. I can name half dozen movies that were filmed and they used Atlanta Motor Speedway or TV shows. You can see going around the back of the track where Zombieland, where the snowball truck or whatever that truck, the Hostess snowball flipped over in the movie, and you can see the skid marks still there because they filmed right there at the back of the track. You've got a show going off the air, Walking Dead. Walking Dead has used parts of the track and parts of the facility. Zach, you're an actor, like a real legit IMDb has you listed type actor. We're proud to have you. It's an honor to have you on the show. One day your royalty fees are going to be too high for me to pay.
Jesus.
When that does happen, we could pay you in cryptocurrency, right?
In baby Dogecoin? Could I pay you in baby Dogecoin?
What baby? Don't you mean Dogecoin?
Baby Doge.
Oh, baby Doge. What's that?
It depends if it's the same as money. I don't know. Can I pay rent with it? I'm not sure. But
I'm sure we could make that work out.
Well, that's what Brandon Brown's definitely finding out because, Brandon Brown and Brandonbilt Motorsports will be sponsored by Baby Doge. They're doing a lot to save a lot of dogs. They just got started last month, and really this first foray into the sport is one of the first things that they're doing. And it's definitely a very interesting and fascinating new sponsorship. And for a team like them who's trying to make the playoffs in Xfinity, every new partner they can get is a huge help. And for them to do something that not only makes their car look really cool, I think the design looked amazing with the Baby Doge little dog there. I think it looks really cool. Definitely fits into this overall trend that we've seen. We saw Landon Castle do something slightly different, but kind of in that same cryptocurrency realm. And now Brandon Brown's going to be doing it. And with a new a new, I guess, company you can call it, who has other things that they're doing outside the sport, but they're coming here to kind of kickstart their kind of media campaign. So that's really cool for them, and obviously really cool for Brandon Built Motorsports, who's as I said, trying to make the playoffs, and then definitely needs every cent and every help that they can get to make it this year.
He had one hell of a weekend this past weekend, 11th place at Road America. That has to help him in the points, man. And I know you're hooked into the Brandon Built Motorsports team through this partnership that we have with them as the official media partners with Brandon Brown and Brandon Built Motorsports.
Yeah, that was a huge finish for them. I mean, they definitely have a bit of a hole to climb out of. I believe that got them like 23 points behind. I forgot what the number was, but yeah, it was a great finish. Their best finish in a few weeks, I think, since Mid-Ohio, which was another road course. They got top 10 there. They were battling. Brandon was battling with Justin Haley for, I think, 9th or 10th, and then with Austin Cindric having his issues, he came up towards the front, and he ended up passing him, and Brandon kept it clean with Haley. He didn't want to make contact with him for that 10th spot, but I know it would have been cool for them to get back in the top 10, but still 11th place. Clements ended up having Jeremy Clements, who's in that final playoff position. They had a bit of a rough day, so it was a good positive day for them, but going into Atlanta, I know Brandon's been enjoying the mile and a half season so far this year, so he's hoping to continue on that 11th place and maybe crack inside the top 5. It's been they've had a couple this year, and definitely be a good time since we're getting into those last 5 or 6 races before the playoffs start.
Honestly, if the brakes wouldn't have exploded at Nashville and kicked the tire going into turn 1. Oh, by the way, yeah, kicking the tires was on the hood of that awesome-looking car that weekend. Had that not happened, I think they would be high enough in the points that they would be, in the finals to make the playoffs right now.
Yeah, that would have been. I mean, even if he just got a top 10, I mean, not even judging for the stage points, even just a top 10 finish. I mean, I think he finished like 34th, 35th that day. Give or take those 20, 25 points that it cost him. I mean, it killed him for that race. It sucked for us because that was a big opportunity for the site to be on the car. It was a new racetrack. He had a lot of partners there. But just looking at the playoff picture, I mean, gosh, it just costs you so much. And it's so hard to make up 25 points without having to rely on one of your competitors in front of you to have exactly what happened to you. So it's going to be tough to come back from that. But they around like Road America, that's going to help a lot.
Excellent. Good to hear the update. I'm sure you'll be talking to Brandon later this week, most likely, and reach out to those guys and see if we can do anything for them. I did notice, what the positioning of the Kicking the Tires logo on the hauler, is pretty cool. It's right by the rear wheels, so we're literally kicking the tires on the Brandon Built Motorsports hauler. Seth, what about in the iRacing world? I know we teased iRacing a while ago with the Atlanta reconfiguration and reprofiling. I know that this past weekend I had the opportunity to rescue the For the Fans League because their sponsor backed out, and we were able to help Justin and them. But what else is going on over there?
Well, real quick for the Fans League, it was the Kicking the Tires 180 after we stepped up to help them out at their virtual Road America. I'm probably going to pronounce his name wrong, but Umar Diallo won the race. He is a regular competitor in the NASCAR Road to Pro Series for Dead Zone Racing, which is one of the back-end teams in the Coke Series. The Coke Series had off this weekend. They ran last weekend, and we talked about that. They have off this week. Their next race, I believe, is New Hampshire next week, and then it's the All-Star race for them. I think the All-Star race for them is iRacing Super Speedway, but I don't know if that is official yet. Outside of that, the Monday Night Racing League was back in action. Raja Karut, the Drive for Diversity driver and Arca Menards E-Series competitor, won the race and made the playoffs. He had to win to get in. Bernard Pollard Jr., the Super Bowl champion, NASCAR super fan, he made his league debut. He finished, I think, 30th after getting caught up in a wreck late. But he ran pretty well. I got up as high as 10th during the pit cycle and just didn't have the right strategy and ended up 23rd a lap down, I want to say it was.
Did you wreck anybody?
I did not wreck anybody this week.
Maybe I'll come back and race, in the next round when they start it up again. Maybe I'll see. Who knows?
What you should
time
do
heals
is
all wounds.
what you should do is hop into the first round of the playoffs and really shake things up.
I was going to actually race in the For the Fans League this past weekend because I was home. But I didn't want to. I never want to affect someone's competitive league. I always try to get out of the way. I know I'm not fast on iRacing. I know there's a lot for me to learn. And honestly, since I turned off the MRN, the Monday Night Racing stuff, I don't think I've raced, but probably a handful of times. Sometimes I'll go in the middle of the night when I'm bored and race, and just do some practice stuff. But it's I don't want to affect anyone, but I want to go out there and have fun. And if you don't, if it's not fun for me, I'm not gonna continue to do it.
Also on the iRacing front, just want to wish Isaac Gann well. He was a driver for the Klingerman Sport team. He had to back out due to health reasons, and they have brought up Anthony Burrows, who was the first driver out via the Pro Series earlier this year, so he was essentially the first alternate. Mm-hmm. And he is replacing Isaac for the remainder of the season in the Coke Series. Okay,
and hey, big news today, Justin, in the SRX, kind of a crossover, something we kind of thought would happen a few years ago, but take us into what I guess it was Marco was talking on the press conference today.
Yeah, a lot of big news coming out, especially from the Zoom call today. But Marco Andretti kind of dropped the ball. I don't know if he was supposed to or not, but he said it. He's working on finalizing a deal to lock in a few Xfinity races. He's hoping next year. So that'll be really interesting and really cool to see an Andretti back in NASCAR. I grew up watching John Andretti driving for Richard Petty. I remember when he won at Martinsville, even though he spun and came back and won it. That was so cool to see. So to see an Andretti back in the field again is going to be really neat. Some other big stuff with the SRX news is Chase Elliott has announced that he's going to be running the sixth and the final race of the SRX season. It'll actually be the second time him and his father Bill have raced together. It'll take place over. Third. I thought it was second.
They raced together in Denny Hamlin's short track showdown in 2011, and then at a short track and super late models in 2013 in, I think it was Alabama or Arkansas. Aside from those two, they've never competed against one another competitively. They did test together for Junior Motorsports in 2014.
Okay, I did not know that about the late model race. I
found out about that today.
Oh, okay, so cool. I'm not the only one. So yeah, so the third time then. It'll take place over at Nashville Fairgrounds, not this upcoming Saturday, but next Saturday, the 17th of July. And then also, too, coming up here at Slinger Speedway, it's the fastest quarter mile oval. Yes, it's a quarter mile, not a half mile. All the other tracks have been pretty much half miles. So this is going to be quite a change for a lot of these guys with these 750 horsepower cars on a track that's much smaller. Real quick, Ernie Francis Jr. ended up winning at Lucas Oil and now sits 30 points behind Tony Stewart. So going into the Slinger Speedway race, Haley Deegan is going to be taking Tony Kanaan's place because of a schedule conflict. So Haley Deegan is going to be racing on Saturday night. And then Luke Fenhouse, a 17-year-old, won the Slinger Nationals over Independence Day weekend. So instead of the trophy girl kiss, the check, and all the fame from winning the national race that night, he also, on top of all that, gets the golden ticket and will be driving one of the SRX cars this Saturday evening out at Slinger Speedway. So a lot of things kind of shuffling things up with the SRX series, but this is the Zoom call was so cool because Luke was on it, and he's sitting right next to two-time Daytona 500 champion Michael Waltrip, and then you got Marco Andretti right underneath him as well. It's just the smile on his face was just like, I can't believe I'm here. And then it was funny because one of the guys asked him, hey, which guy do you want to meet? And of course it wasn't either of the two that were on the call. So Mikey was like, really? Just Tony Stewart? Okay, I'll remember that. So
Hey, speaking of Tony, we're going to call him up. Hey, Tony, can I get a ride in the SRX series? I just ride in the back?
Can I just drive that pace truck? I mean, my gosh, that is
Justin
like the
Justin wants
coolest.
to drive the pace truck.
That is like the coolest little thing. I'm like, geez, that is such a cool little car.
And just a note in the Slinger Nationals, one of the drivers that Luke was battling with throughout the race was Ty Majeski, who has run in NASCAR before, and he is the most recent winner of the Snowball Derby. Majeski actually had to retire with, I think it was mechanical issues. So that is one of the many reasons why Luke won the race, aside from his talent. But just the stage that he gets to compete on, win, lose, draw, is probably one of the best opportunities a driver of his caliber will ever have.
And how many 17-year-olds get a phone call from Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham saying, hey, congratulations on winning the Nationals. You free next Saturday?
There you go. Tony Stewart, he's put something together with this SRX series, and I really want to get out there and at least see one race before the season's over. It's coming to a close pretty quick, so I need to get off my butt. Speaking of coming to a close, when Road America came to a close last weekend, somebody on this call was still in first place in points for kicking the tires. I'm not sure who that was. Seth, can you take us through the points?
Seth, well, before you go through points, can you check him for any loose nuts that he's got? Because he keeps bringing this up, so I think he's got a couple loose nuts over there.
Loose nuts, yeah. I may have lost my marbles, but
well, leading the points still is Jerry, but the winner of the weekend, or picking the winner of the weekend, was Rachel. But the big winner of the weekend, because his driver that he picked actually scored the most points out of all of us, was Matt. Matt's literally the 3 times he's picked, it's either been worst, best.
Hey, I guess working for Uncle Jeff is a good sign, right?
Maybe. But Jerry still leads the points, 689 now. Justin is still second with 665. Rachel actually passed me. She now has 645. I am 2 points behind her with 643. Zach's behind me with 638. Then you have Sarah with 626. Summer with 606. Christian with 581. And Matt is still mired in last with 554, but he is gaining at least on Christian.
Well, I gotta say I'm pretty happy to be in first, but I'm not gonna just take it for granted. I'm not gonna rub it in or anything. I know y'all are one kicked tire away from passing me. Okay, so and I know Zach really wants to get up there and lead this.
Yeah, Zach, you're the one picking first. So. Who are you going to be picking to go Harvicking at Atlanta?
Well, that point lead feels good. I had it for quite a while. Don't you forget. I started taking chances and it killed me. So to start with Truck Series, obviously they're out in Knoxville, so it's going to definitely shake things up. I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe. He ran quite well at Bristol earlier this year on the dirt, and we know he's one of the most talented dirt racers and pretty much all the series combined. So I'm going to go Briscoe there. Allmendinger for Xfinity over in Atlanta. Won there last year and he's been doing amazing this year. And then for Cup, I guess I'll go again with Larson for the second straight week. That was just one of the races he absolutely annihilated everyone earlier this year. Lost it right at the end, but I think he's going to end this rough streak that he's on. Rough streak. He finished second 2 races ago and almost won 3 races ago. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Austin for Cup, Allmendinger, then Chase Briscoe.
Okay, and the next person to pick would be me. So what I'm going to do actually for the truck series, it's Knoxville, and the only driver in the field that has any experience at Knoxville driving any sort of stock car or a stock vehicle is Haley Deegan, because she ran the SRX race a few weeks ago at Knoxville. So I'm going to go with Haley Deegan for the truck race. For the Xfinity race, Kyle Busch is in the field. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. And for the Cup race, I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to go with Bowman.
Right.
So 2 of the 100 cars taken up.
Yes.
All right. Well, I would be next, but Rachel sent in picks, so I'm going to read hers off. For trucks, she's going to go with Nemechek, so very easy there. Xfinity, Justin Allgaier, another strong pick. And for Cup, she wants Kevin Harvick for the Cup race at Atlanta. For me, as far as trucks goes, I was going to pick Chase Briscoe. So since that was already since that was already snagged up, I'm gonna go with Tyler Ankrum. I don't know why, but for some reason his name just kind of stuck out to me, other than Chase Briscoe and Haley Deegan, obviously. So, but I think Ankrum's gonna pull out a really good run. For the Xfinity race, when we switch over to Atlanta Motor Speedway for Xfinity and Cup, I'm gonna go with Gragson. I don't get it. He's just due for one. So that's kind of another somewhat safe pick. And then for the Cup race, he just knows how to drive these kinds of tracks, and you just can't go wrong with it. So I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick.
Okay, then. And
I guess that leaves it on me. And I am not happy with you, Seth, because I was going to pick Haley Deegan. Because I thought about what you thought about was her just racing out there, plus the fact that she knows how to get it done on dirt.
Jerry, you seem so disappointed every time you make picks. You should just pick Timmy Hill for the Cup race. I mean, he's already withdrawn from the race, so just hand the points lead over to me, and then you just work your way back down, and then you can pick ahead of everybody else. You don't have to be upset at us picking your
Feels good, Jerry, to be first.
Yeah, I know. That's the penalty you pay for being first is picking last, and yeah. So, well, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Austin. Do what, Zach?
It's the invert.
Yeah,
it's all equivalent of invert. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Austin Hill in the inaugural Corn Belt 150 at Knoxville Raceway. So that's my truck series. Austin Hill with Hattori Motorsports. I'm sure my buddies over there will be happy that I picked him. For the Xfinity race, man, that's actually a tough one. That's tougher to me than picking the Cup race. Golly. I'm looking at the entry list here, and it's like, I don't know. Tell you what I'm going to do. Is Harrison Burton still open?
yes.
I'm taking Harrison Burton. Okay?
Ooh, so Brandon Brown did not get picked this week.
Well,
Yikes.
I don't want to jinx him. Have you seen what happens to Johnny Sauter when I pick him?
No, see, what we're going to do
And not only that, when you picked him at Nashville, he kicked the tire.
Yeah, I picked Brandon Brown at Nashville, and he kicked the tire. The brake rotors exploded and kicked the tire. So
see, what we're going to wait is see who your Cup pick is, and then we're just going to have Zach just kind of casually walk by that car. And
Joey Logano.
Good idea.
Logano?
Joey Logano at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
there you
I'll
go.
make note of that.
22 Shell Pennzoil in Victory Lane in the Quaker State 400, sponsored by Walmart at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Got to get all those sponsors in there. That's who I'm picking.
Watch, Target actually is the one that produces Quaker State.
No, it's actually produced by Shell Pennzoil, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same company.
Well, let's.
Go. How are my picks? What do y'all think? Think I'm okay? Think I'll retain the points lead? I'll retain the points lead?
Well, Joey hasn't had a top 5 since 2015 at Atlanta.
Better
Only
time.
full career.
And he's kind of been in a slump lately.
All the Fords have.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Like
kind of in a slump
what Ford
because
has run strong lately?
he's kind of in a slump because TJ Majors and him aren't exactly working well together. I don't think it's working so well.
I would say the only Ford that's, granted, he is in a slump, but the only Ford that's not truly in a slump might be Harvick.
I was tempted to pick Blaney.
Yeah, Blaney too. Yeah.
I was too. I think in my order, I had Larson, Reddick, Elliott, then Blaney, and then Byron. Which I'm surprised no one picked Chase Elliott.
You see, I was on the fence about Elliott and Bowman. And also, the thing is, Atlanta has actually historically been Chase Elliott's worst track.
Yeah.
In the Cup Series.
Yeah, that home field advantage doesn't work for Chase at Atlanta. He hasn't done well there in the Cup Series. So yeah, I had to go with with my buddies over at Pennzoil in the number 22, Joey Logano. He's, by the way, I am this close to getting him confirmed to be a guest on the Kickin' Show.
Cool.
Chase?
There you go. So y'all have to say that I sung his praises, going into the race this week.
And I did just get a pick from Christian for the Cup race. He is going with Denny Hamlin.
Boom.
I guess his backup was okay. Yeah, he picked Hamlin. I thought there was a backup, but I saw your text. Well, guys, I mean, that's going to do it here for the Kickin' Show this week. We can wrap this up. Zach, be careful getting down to Atlanta Motor Speedway. You and Matt Corson have a good time. I've got some stuff to do this weekend. Seth, I know you're going to be covering from home. Somebody's going to be tweeting about it on the Kickin' account on Twitter. We'll have all the updates, and if any other news breaks this week, we'll let you know. So thank y'all very much for tuning in.